user friendly.
Is that your trademark now?
I should trademark that sound. I'm your co-host, Aaron
Robin
Elijah. Yes, welcome to User Friendly. Yes, you might know me from the Cultcast podcast. I'm here with my friend
Roberto Hoyos. I don't have a catchphrase.
You come up with one.
Um,
It's me, Roberto.
Done.
Ask us a question.
But we are here again, episode 76.
Is that what we're on? Somebody was asking me the other day what episode we were actually on, and I couldn't tell.
I think it's 76 or 77.
Okay, high 70s.
77.
77, we'll go with it. Welcome back to User Friendly. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk about our favorite stuff on the web, all things geek, and...
All things geek.
All things geek. All things web geek. What is honestly the third one? How come I can never
Our
remember
favorite
this?
stuff on the web.
All things geek. Oh, it's tech, our favorite stuff on the web, and all things geek.
Yeah.
You would think that would be easy to remember, but it really is actually a lot harder than it seems.
Yeah.
Anywho, skis, welcome back to the show, folks. We have a beautiful day in Seattle.
Yes. Very hot.
I went on a long walk today. You've been doing that too, haven't you?
You went up to Canada, I think.
I did Canada and back. It only took me 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And boy, are my legs tired.
I do try to walk from time to time because it's healthy and it's a great way to stay in shape.
It's true. And when you're hallucinating after eating a whole bag of shrooms,
Yeah.
it's a great way to spend your time. I wasn't really eating shrooms.
probably
You know, when I
were.
talk about this stuff just casually joking, I sometimes wonder if people actually think that I'm being serious.
They probably are.
There was one part of the cult cast where we started off talking about shrooms, and I actually cut the whole part out because as funny as it was to me, and we were all having a great time, sometimes in the pre-chat or post-chat of the show, I just feel like people wouldn't know that we were joking.
I like putting that stuff in our show because I edit the show.
Yeah.
I think one of them you're like, all my bongs were out or something, and you were talking about somebody else, but I made it sound like it was just you.
One day when I run for president, this is all going to come back to bite me.
That's okay now, though.
I did not inhale from all my bongs.
No, Obama, toked. It doesn't matter.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he probably smoked crack, too. He did it all. All right, cool. Well, hey, we got a great show for you guys planned. So we're going to do something a little different. I got an interesting email from a Cultcast listener.
What's the Cultcast?
The Cultcast is my Apple-centric podcast. If you have never heard of it, you should go check it out. It's on iTunes. And I want to answer this guy's question. I thought it was really interesting. And then we're going to do a Kickstarter. And we're going to...
Don't spoil it. Just start.
Well, hold on. We definitely want to tell people that you're going to want to stay tuned to the end because we have a Netflix review.
Yeah.
A new one that we're going to announce. Arguably our most popular segment.
We're going to announce it, and I'm so excited about
Are you?
this.
Wow.
Because
Now I'm excited.
I think I found one of my favorite new movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So something that you watched recently.
Yeah. There
There you go. So you're not going to want to miss that. And of course, that will give you a whole week to go watch it, as it will for me. And then we'll talk about it next show. So let's start with this email I got.
Okay.
This is interesting. I get emails from time to time from listeners, and a lot of them are just funny. Sometimes it's people trying to get me to review a product. Sometimes it's something serious, which is always surprising. But I got an interesting email, as I said, and I thought we could answer this guy's question. His name is Hector Sanz Padro. Did I say that right? Sanz. I've never seen that last name before. Hector Sanz Padro.
Yeah. No. Pardo.
Pardo. Sorry, Pardo. Pardon moi. Bad joke. So here's his question. This is a long paragraph that he wrote me, several actually. I'm going to paraphrase.
Okay.
I'm going to start from here. I know this is already way in left field, but I have a dream. How would someone pursue that dream? Oh, wait. I started too far. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. I've had this dream about Apple, as in working there, and not just retail, but corporate. Learning from the inside out and running it, taking Tim Cook's seat, or whoever's seat is there at the time. He goes on to elaborate more about what he means. Basically, he wants to run Apple. And then he wraps up with, how do I get a chance at changing the world like Steve Jobs did? I think it's a very good question. And this is something that you and I have talked about a lot. In fact, when we first met, I felt like we talked about this kind of thing a lot.
We did, yeah. I don't know. Maybe your stance on this sentiment has changed,
Yeah.
or maybe it hasn't, but I'll let you answer it first.
My answer would be is you need to find something that you love, and you need to do that. And I know it sounds cool to be the CEO of Apple, and it probably is very cool. There's probably a lot of crap that goes along with it, though, that maybe isn't so great. But the reason I say you need to find something that you love is because it's going to be a ton of hard work.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think we both come back to, is that commencement speech that Steve Jobs did at Stanford University. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I generally watch it a couple times a year because I found it very insightful. And basically what Steve Jobs said is you got to find something that you love, because it's going to be a lot of hard work to accomplish your goals, and the only way you're going to do good work is to do something that you love. And I have found that to be very true. I think a lot of people think that the Cult Cast is all fun and candy bars and high fives and pizza slices, and it is. But it's a lot of work.
And
so
surfing.
and surfing and making jokes with your pals. Even something as
Sunny D.
It's all Sunny D and smiles.
And Applejack.
And Apple Jacks and the toys from the box. Even something as exciting or seemingly exciting as, let's say, CES, where Cult of Mac team gathers and we go and we write and we hang out and we go to parties and stuff. It is an extraordinary amount of work, because you're going to bed late, you're getting up early, you're running all day long. You're doing a lot of work, and if you don't love it, if you don't have a true love for it, you're just not going to do very good work.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get to that high level that you want to be at. So for me, that would be my answer, is figure out if that's really what you want to do, and if it is, find a way to do it. I don't mean to escape the actual answer. I kind of feel like I'm giving a really generic answer. It's like, find a way to do it. But honestly, that's what you need to do. And just keep trying different things. Travel a lot. That's a piece of advice that I heard from somebody, and I found that to be very true, because when you meet somebody outside of their elements, you get to be friends with them much more quickly than you would when you're all just like emailing each other from 1,000 miles away. If I hadn't gone
Yeah, I agree.
on my own initiative to CES with Leander Caney, I said, I'm going to go regardless of whether or not I go with you.
Yeah.
I'm going. That changed. That put an arc in my life that took me on a completely different path just on that one decision. I was like, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm going to do it. And I would say, arguably, when I decided to go to VidCon, I didn't have a place to stay, and then that's where you and I started really hanging out. Yeah.
I think that's just standard, like, good practice. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you had the balls to go and just go for it and go do it. You know, both of us we do that a lot, where we're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna go and see if I can get it done, you know?
I would say not enough, but yeah, I agree with you.
But you know, that's just good practice. Like, if you want to get a girl, just fucking go after the girl, you know?
Club.
No, but really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some people are like, they'll just see somebody from far forever and just
they
like,
never try.
Yep. Like, even if you just went for it, you're gonna feel a lot better. And this isn't just girl, but I'm saying, like, anything. You're gonna feel a lot better about yourself that you actually went for it. You know?
Yeah.
I know I have. You know, I'm like, well, shit. Now I know that, you know, it's either good or not. It's either gonna happen or not gonna happen. You know? But I think that, I don't know. I just believe, like, certain things I feel like I can will to happen by just going for them. You know, and just like, you have to have almost like that tunnel vision in some ways, where you're like, it's gonna have a good outcome, you know, at the end of at the end of whatever I have to do to pursue it, you know. So I don't know, it's probably like cliche, but yeah, like positive thinking is like a big deal, at least in my practice of, you know, what I've done that's worked successfully is like, well, I knew I was gonna make it work, you know, the whole time. I was like, yeah, it's gonna work, that's why I'm doing it, you know. But I think you got to take risks. I think taking risks is a freaking huge deal, you know? Don't you agree? Like, in your lifetime, do you agree that the risks that you did
were really worth it? Smart. I would say smart risks. I don't think risks in and of themselves is what helps you, but take smart risks. I mean,
I agree.
If something seems unattainable and there's a way that you can make it happen, maybe somewhat easily, and for me that was the travel thing. It's like going somewhere and not knowing exactly what's going to happen when you get there.
Yeah.
That's a risk, and that's one that's worked out for me several times.
But I guess the real question is, how do you think that you can change the world? I believe that it's possible for somebody to affect the world, even in small ways. I still consider that changing the world. If you start a little company and it affects a bunch of people all over the world, I mean, that's part of something that can affect other people to create change as well. And I think it's definitely possible. I think when we first started talking, you were a little bit less on the side that was a attainable thing for anyone. Like, I remember it was like, well, who cares? Because we're all gonna die and no one's gonna remember any of this stuff,
I don't know. Everyone has different motivations. I mean, and you change as you get older, right? I guess you can change the world, and I think it's possible for everybody, but I don't think it's necessarily going to happen just because you work really hard and just because you really want it badly.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think that you can be Michael Jordan by practicing basketball.
Exactly. I think that's kind of my point, is like, some people just, I mean, I really believe in hard work, and I believe that you will be successful if you persist and you work hard all the time. But there are some people that are just Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And they are going to be taller than you, they're going to be faster than you, and they're going to be able to jump higher than you.
Yeah.
And Rudy is not going to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah. I think that as getting older, luckily I found what I love, and I'm doing what I love, which is awesome, because I started doing that when I was like in my mid-20s, and I'm still doing it. And I think that along the way I started to realize how important it was to understand the traits about you that are naturally given, and actually build upon those, rather than trying to be like what school teaches you to be, which is like super well-rounded, and you have to be amazing you have to get A's in math, you have to get A's in science, you have to get A's in gym, you have to get A's in history. Like, that's stupid, that's not how the world works,
No, not at all.
Like, all the famous people that you like all the famous actors were not mathematicians, and vice versa, and I think that it's very important, and I hope that society's starting to understand this more, because I hear it more now, but it's very important to start to understand your strengths, and maybe you're not going to be MJ, or you're not going to be Steve Jobs, but what if you could be something different than that, and you could, like, I remember when I was younger, I used to like always kind of secretly emulate rock stars and musicians that I liked, and they would affect me, and I'd be like, oh, I want to like dress like those guys now. But then when I started to realize, like, I want to be who I am, like, I want that to be its own thing, right?
I think that's really good advice.
And I was like, I don't need to be, I don't need to be like Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't need to be...
Although you do like being under the bridge downtown.
Yeah. I don't need to be like Bruce Lee. I need to be like me and make that a thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I like started to really live by, is like, no, I'm my own unique thing. I need to do that, like those guys did, right? So I think it's cool to be inspired by other people, but you can't just like be like them. You know what I mean?
I agree. You need to find your own path. No one needs another Anthony Kiedis. No one wants another,
Steve Jobs, Bruce Lee, Frank Sinatra.
Aaron Neville. There's only one Aaron Neville. And if you don't know who he is, go YouTube him, because he has a wonderful falsetto.
There's no other Dustin Diamond, a.k.a. Screech.
A.k.a. Screech. There can only be one Mario Lopez. So
you were a close second.
I'm a close second, and besides me and him, you're not going to get anywhere close.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually very good advice, because
it's just having that self-confidence.
You need to find your own way.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard, and it takes time, and it takes maturity. And I think you do need to figure out what you're good at. You need to know what you're not good at.
Yeah.
And those are generally things that you really hate doing. Those are things you're generally not good at,
right.
I would say. Not necessarily in all cases.
I think it's pretty true. I mean, like, when you can find other people around you that create a better, create a better team. Like the Beatles on their own were good, but as a group, they were the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like, how much better does that feel when you actually fill those gaps that you can't do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do that a lot. I mean, you work with you know, lots of different people. You like work with artists and all sorts of stuff. The things that you can't physically do, you know, you can actually work with somebody to do it, right?
Yeah, I honestly wish I did it more, and it's something that I really believe in, just because, yeah, you can't be good at everything, and not to mention, one of the things that's really powerful, you do this a lot with Throwboy, is getting people to help you. Because you may not need the help, but when someone donates their time to help you with something, they feel like they're a part of what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it involves them in a very deep way where they want to help you achieve something else. And that's a powerful way to get people involved in what you're doing, and you cannot do everything alone. There's just no way.
If you were to help Hector here with maybe some people that he could listen to for this kind of extra insight that we're probably not qualified to do, who would you choose?
Oh, if I could only choose one person, I would say the person that has really influenced me the most, and not just me, but a lot of other people listen to him as well, is Seth Godin. He has a lot of great books. You could go read his blog for free. It's sethgodin.com. In fact, a lot of things that he puts in his books are on his blog. He just aggregates them into a book. And he even says, I write all this stuff for free on my blog. You can go read it there, but some of you really want to have it in book form, so here it is.
It's
great.
a book. Yeah, you should listen to his TED Talks if you can find those.
His TED Talks are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are floating out there on Ted's websites. I call him the Jewish Yoda because he's small. He's not green, but he's so wise. When you hear him speak, he has such great advice, and he is so incredibly articulate. He's very much, to me, like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, the magic for me with him was how articulate he was. He would say things in a way that really made sense to me and would stick with me. And he would say, he had sound bites that stuck with me. And Seth Godin, I think, kind of has that same talent.
And I would add, Gary Vaynerchuk is another one that I found.
Do you still listen to him?
Yeah.
Really?
I would say go check out some of the stuff he did in the 2009, 10, and 11 time frame, because he didn't have a family yet, so he was doing lots and lots of talks and stuff like that. He mainly does talks, and he has 2 books. Crush It is one of them.
Was Crush It good? I never read it.
Yeah, it's a great book. I don't know. I felt like he was one of those people that kind of gets you pumped about doing things that you love, and going after what you really want to do, understanding your strengths, being happy is a huge thing. He said he wasn't 100% happy when he was doing his business that was making millions, and so he totally shifted gears to go do something that actually made him 100% happy. He was like, I was 98% happy or something, and he's like, I wanted to be 100% happy.
Yeah. Huh.
That kind of thing. I mean, I need to work on that in terms of my life, because I feel like I think happiness is really kind of foo-foo, but then when I hear more about it, I think that there's actually some weight to it, rather than just we need to be successful, so we need to have money and we need to do this and that. It's like,
yeah, those things are kind of, I think they're empty. You think that you want them, and I think they're great. There's nothing wrong with having success and nothing wrong with having money. But if you're doing something that you hate, and this actually kind of goes to my point earlier about being good at something, but maybe feeling like you don't really want to do it. Like Gary Vaynerchuk was obviously doing something that was making him mostly happy, and he was obviously very good at it.
Right.
But then he realized, I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And even though I'm making a ton of money and I have success and I'm well known for this,
yeah.
I need to go do something different. And I've had that same thing before I started Mike Tees. That's exactly how I felt. I was making great money and I had a really good job, but I kind of did this mental exercise where I projected forward 10 years and what's another 20 grand a year? You know, it's like, is that going to make you any happier? No, I kind of feel like if you're doing work that you love, even if you don't have money, even if you don't have notoriety, you'll be happier. You'll be a better you.
Yeah, and you have to really think about what's important to you, not how do I please my dad and my mom or my friends and all that kind of stuff. Because
that's tough
when
too.
You can't search within, you're gonna always have that weight on your shoulders, and it's never gonna, you're never gonna be a better person for it. You know what I mean? And Yeah, you have to let go of that, and that's hard. You know, it's hard when you have, especially when you have like, you know, good parents that actually want good things for you. You know, because then you're like, you're always thinking about their approval and stuff like that. You know,
That's true, but you also have to think about their motivations because your dad's first generation, or you're first generation American,
Yeah,
right?
mhm.
So my mom is from another country. My dad's first generation American, and my mom's side of the family especially, when you talk to them, they tell you they want you to get like a good job, they want you to have great insurance,
Yeah.
like all these things that are very secure, and it's security. Like, really, that's what they're pushing. That's their agenda. But when I think about it, my mom came here when she was 20, didn't know English. And all of her brothers and sisters came here after her. She had to help take care of them. And that was their struggle.
Yeah.
To get here and figure out how to make an income in a country with a culture they didn't understand,
Right.
with a language they didn't speak, and to get secure and to make it and survive here. And now that's what they're selling.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
that's what you need to do.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'm pretty secure already.
Right.
You know, just by being born here, you have a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
You know the language. Anyway.
No,
So,
that's you make a good point there too. But yeah, you have to know their motivations exactly. Anyway,
I think we can
hope
probably
that
move on
helped
from
a little
this.
bit.
Yeah, I don't even know if Hector watches this show.
Well, he's gonna have
So,
to watch it for this.
I'll email you back, Hector, and I'll say, check out User Friendly. And apparently he's in Heath, Texas.
Cool.
Thanks for the question.
Heath, Texas.
Alex E. Heath, Texas. Let's move on to our second topic. You wanted to show a Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
We just love these Kickstarters. We can't get enough.
Let's kick it off.
Kick it off.
All right. So, who showed me to this? I think John Wheatley might have.
Does he watch the show?
I think he does in secret.
Hey, Governor.
So, oh wait, actually, you know what? I
What?
take that back. He did not show this to me. A listener/viewer showed this to me.
Okay.
And I hope I can find who sent it to me, but I'm sorry, because not a lot of people send me stuff. So, oh yeah, here we go. Is this it? Yeah, this is it.
Oh, it's the Graham.
It is Graham.
What's going on, Governor?
Pritchard. You know him?
Yeah, Graham and I talk a lot on Twitter. I think Graham has a Beatles cover band,
Oh yeah.
and he travels the UK.
Cool. Who is he?
You know, that's a great question. I actually don't know.
Are they like? Do they dress like them?
I think they just play their music. I don't know if they dress like them.
Okay.
But he always talks about how he travels the country listening to Cultcast. That's a great
Oh.
job, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Traveling the country, listening to the Cultcast.
So he showed this to me. Let's check it out.
I think you have to hit play.
I've always believed in starting with a sketch. As designers, we concept. We develop a vision. And it's important we use the right tools to quickly capture that. It's so easy to get caught early on, staring at your computer screen and wasting hours crafting a poorly executed idea within the limits of Photoshop. With Oink, we take a step back from our computers. We close Photoshop. We stamp and put pencil to paper in a tactile way that stimulates our brains. We allow ourselves to think and dream up solutions to mobile design challenges in a quick way that stays organized
You
in
did a
the
circle
notebook that's
perfectly.
already part of our designer toolkit. We bring a craftsman spirit to our work and elevate mobile design.
That's it, man. It's a stamp.
You know,
What do you think?
this is actually kind of cool, but this to me is like the bottle cap opener, the
Yeah,
stout.
yeah.
This is so. It's just so filled with all the things that designers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like handcrafted from hickory smoked wood from the back country of Alabama, and we cover it with recycled leather from third world countries, and And then it's, you know, we have a special rubber process that's made, but
And then they
all in all,
zoom out.
and they zoom out, and it's like all this crazy ingredients all handcrafted together, and it's a stamp.
Yeah.
And it might be an incredibly useful stamp, and if you're an iPhone designer,
Yeah.
you might be like, whoa, I really want this stamp.
Yeah.
But it's a stamp! It's a stamp. Let's just call it what it is.
No, I agree. I think that's the game, right? Like the more Kickstarters we watch, the more we see this pitch style, and the more we understand that that's the game. You know, like you have to dress it up with a bunch of like, you know, fancy stuff. Because if he just said, "I have this stamp," but then again, I've seen people be very, very genuine. Like MacBook camera, iSight camera, and then being like, this is the thing I want to do, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe they're a little funny, and then they get like $1 zillion. So I don't know. I've seen both ways, you know? I don't know if you have to lay it on super thick, but I think it helps if you have some kind of story.
I think it always helps.
But it's probably rough when you don't have a development story. You know, like with my Kickstarter, I could be like, look, this is how I do it, and I started like so and so, like this, you know? But if you have just like, oh, I had this idea and I got these made, then you have to dress it up with a lot of like things like the stout did, right?
Right. Imagine enjoying a drink with your nephew.
Yeah. This I think is cool, and it's like, you know, it's done, it's branded well, so it, you know, it stands on its own. The only bad thing, and this is just me thinking of somebody that makes things all the time, is that stamps, stamp places they're set up to do one-off stamps, right? So you can send them an iPhone artwork and say, can you make this into a stamp? And they will say yes, like that will be $20, you know? Like, so I think that's the sucky thing about this stamp idea, is that any stamp place in your city can make that for you easily, and it's not a matter of, it's not like the stout where you had to make, if you go to a factory, they have to make like at least 200 for you, right? Stamps, you can go anywhere and be like, I want one, and they'll do it and make one.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like,
and this one, I mean, I think that like the little nubbins all over the screen,
yeah,
that makes this thing somewhat unique as well,
yeah,
right?
because then it gives you a grid.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's like sort of weak that it can be so easily replicated, you know? It's like getting a copy of Keys, you know? It's just like some super easy and down the street you can go do it.
Yep, that's
you know?
true. But I think a lot of people probably don't know
They
that.
probably don't, you know? That's kind of like me. I'm like, oh, well, where would I get that made? You know, like,
Right,
let me go do that. But it's funny, when I was watching it, I was like, you know, I design a lot of these, I design these pillow fighter plush toys now. And I'm like, I always am drawing that pillow shape. I should go get a stamp made of that. And
You
then
should.
Just do that all day.
Oh,
you know?
think how much time it's gonna save you.
Or even like a Throwboy logo, and when I'm designing like a website interface, I can just be like, okay, that's where the logo goes, and the rest goes here.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
But anyway, I think it's kind of.
It seems like a useful tool for people that would need something like this. And he's gonna get funded. He's already at 1,400 below his goal. He's got 13 days left.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yeah. So this is one of those Kickstarter projects that it's actually like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what Kickstarter's for. This is gonna help people who actually need this.
Yeah, and it's like one thing, you know,
Yep.
very clear what it is. It's not really, when I say dressing it up, it's not really doing a huge thing to dress it up like it's going to change your entire life, right? But yeah, I mean, I like the fact that it's like one clear product.
Yeah. And this guy obviously made it because he needed something like
right,
this.
yeah, that too. And it's not like, yeah, it's not, the stout feels a little bit more slimy, you know? Because it's like,
I honestly could not tell if that was a real product until about 30 seconds to a minute in. I was thinking it was going to be a joke.
yeah.
There's no way these guys are selling a bottle cap opener. There's just no way. But there you go. It's just like Apple Store, man. I mean, you walk into an Apple Store, especially one of the nice ones, and they spend $1 zillion. Why? Just to give you that nice packaging. You walk in, you're in a place that feels like the Smithsonian, right? And they have these museum quality products laid flat on tables. Makes
Experience
the price.
is a big
Experience
deal,
is
man.
everything.
Yeah, I remember I think you were one of the people that sold me on that early on, or at least got me thinking about it. That you bought certain products just to see what the packaging would look like when you got it in the mail.
Right, yeah.
Stuff like that. And I started to do that. And even, you know, when I did the ICEO, I was like, yeah, sure, I can send this in a poly mailer, and it's, you know, whatever. But it's much different when you get it and it's like in a box and you like open it up and it has like a thank you card with it or whatever, right? Like it's totally different, and that could create like a lifetime customer versus somebody that just thought they just bought some little toy or whatever, right?
Yeah, I agree. It kind of changes it from like a commodity into something special.
Yeah.
Anyhow, hey, so we got one more topic we're going to cover, but before we do that, we wanted to read an iTunes review, and then actually we can announce our Netflix review because I want to hear what you had there for us.
Okay.
So this one comes from Alexander Sitbon. I hope I said that correctly. Alexander. I'm not sure. Alexandre. Sitbon. Alexandre. It's very Russian sounding. I like it. As awesome as the Cultcast, y'all. Hey, y'all. I know we got a Cultcast listener. That's great. So, I don't think that you guys can do more user-friendly. No pun intended, than this podcast. Okay. I know it was going to make sense there eventually.
Keep reading.
2 dudes on a sofa talk about tech and other related gadgetry. Everyone runs the Cultcast. Roberto sells cool pillows and throw away. Sometimes they crack jokes. Sometimes they imitate nerds or Tim Cook. Also true. Sometimes they get drunk in front of the camera, but they always do an awesome job at bringing you along for the ride. I don't think we've ever been drunk.
We need to fix that.
We need to start getting drunk more often. Their laid-back conversation is very refreshing. In a world where podcasts... This is almost like movie voice. In a world where podcasts are crippled by a gazillion sponsor breaks. By famous tech bloggers that think they don't need to properly introduce or conclude their shows. There's user-friendly.
There's a lot of that, by the way.
You know, that really bugs you too, and I guess it's something that I noticed. I listened to a podcast today. It's a video game podcast. Did not talk about a single video game. The entire podcast, it was 40 minutes long.
I hate
and we got to the end, and I was like, they didn't talk about video games at all. This is crazy.
What is it called?
It's called 404.
Okay.
And actually, I'm not complaining. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, if we did that on the Cultcast, we would be berated with comments. People would be really angry.
I just don't like that. I don't like podcasts, in quotations, that just like shoot the shit. You know? Like,
there are a lot of them that do that.
I don't like those. I just don't like when it's like, okay, here's the beginning of a podcast. Here's me turning it on. So I told John the other day that, and it's like no context, no intro, no anything, no segue into different topics, nothing, just a long conversation.
Wow.
I'm like, what the hell am I listening to? Why would I want to listen to this?
It's just a very...
Unless you're like really fanboying over those people.
That's true.
And anything they spew out of their mouth is gold. Why would you ever want to listen to that?
Yeah. It's like they just sit down, and I have to admit, it's you kind of have to try to not do that, because when you're just having a conversation, like especially at the start of the Cultcast, like I call everyone up, we start chatting, and then I have to stop everyone and say, okay, we're starting.
Yeah, we do
right?
that.
Yeah, we do that too.
I mean, we didn't even have to think about it. We were just like, all right, we're gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
At this point, we're gonna start a new topic. Because that's what shows do.
I think it comes down to showmanship. Like, there has to be a little bit of showmanship there, because some people are just like, well, I don't really... They probably don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, let's just start the conversation.
Yeah.
Let me read the last sentence from Alexandra Sitbon's review. In any case, I strongly recommend this weekly dose of quality entertainment. That's right, he said quality. Mm-hmm. And laugh. You won't regret it. Sometimes, maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit sometimes.
I
for
never
the most
regret
part.
it. So.
I don't regret it ever. Ever. Not for a moment. So thank you, Alexander Sitbon, for leaving us that kind of review. As many of you know, we make zero money from this show. We have no sponsors.
I lose money from this show.
In fact, we probably lose money from the show. And brain cells and time. I mean, it's a losing proposition for us. So
we should have a little losing money counter at the bottom.
Yeah, right. We each probably lose a total of $2 to $3.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. If you like this show and want to show us your appreciation, please leave us a review on iTunes. And if you're leaving one on another country's iTunes store, would you take a screenshot and tweet it at either of us? I'm at Arifon, and
I'm at Roberto Hoyos.
That way we see it because we don't actually ever get to see those.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Let's move on. So, hey, what's going to be our Netflix review?
Netflix review.
Netflix review.
What's our theme song?
Do, 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 do.
Netflix
Do, do, do,
review.
do.
Netflix
Review,
review.
review. We just came up with that original soundtrack just right now. That deserves a handshake for sure.
Okay, so the next review, which is going to happen next episode, is for a documentary.
Yep.
And let me look up the official title.
That seems to be our movie genre of choice.
And this has been a movie that I have been loving. It's one of those movies.
Oh, what's that? Oh, sorry. I thought that was something else. Never mind.
It's a movie that I watched once, and then I found myself watching again and
Wow,
again and
okay.
again and again. It's called Bones Brigade, an autobiography. And this is about a skateboarding team in the early 80s that consisted of Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero, and a bunch of other very famous
Whoa, I really like
skateboarders.
this.
And I don't know about you, Erfan, but I grew up in the early 80s and 90s, and
That's
I had a
bad.
skateboard, and you probably had one too.
I had the gear
Yeah.
and the attitude,
Yeah.
but no skateboard.
So, like, I think we fall into the same boat here. We loved the idea of it. We thought it was really cool.
Oh, especially in like the 90s when
Yeah,
grunge
yeah.
was popular.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we can never quite do those tricks or anything
Yeah,
like that,
no.
right? I couldn't. I had skateboards growing up. Skated up and down the street, but nothing like I couldn't do a kickflip or an ollie or any of the cool stuff. And I never went into a pool or any of that. That sounded like crazy to me. But I always admired it. I always thought it was so cool. And this basically takes you through the story of this skateboard team that basically revolutionized the whole skateboard sport back in the early 80s, as it kind of like was taking a dive and wasn't really as popular anymore. It was sort of a thing derived from surfing in the 1970s. And they changed it and created a whole new vocabulary for it, creating the most popular tricks that people still
So you're
use
saying
today.
that like Tony Hawk and team or crew, I mean, popularized skateboarding
Yeah.
essentially? Because I did not know that.
They all were teenagers. We're talking like 13 years old, 11 years
Wow.
old, and they started. They basically started this team under the. I won't give it away, but basically they started this team and totally reinvented the entire sport.
Wow.
And it's fascinating. I love this documentary. I can't say enough good things about it. I think that you should watch it. I think that you should watch it.
And you should watch it, John.
Um,
There's someone out there named John who was just like, whoa.
And so now they're the top athletes in this sport. So
Nice.
I think that you're gonna like it. But that's our Netflix review. It's called Bones Brigade, an autobiography. It's on Netflix. If you can't find it on Netflix, find it online somewhere. Am I allowed to say like illegal websites where we can find this?
Not legally.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not say any.
Okay.
Just in case.
Because I started to find some easier ways to find it. But
Yeah, well, we have a...
you can Google it.
Yeah, use Google, find it however you need to.
All right. So that's my.
Preferably via Netflix.
That's my pick.
Okay, excellent. So, Bones Brigade.
Yeah.
All right, last story of the day. Last story.
Okay.
So, interesting news we both heard and were kind of surprised by.
Yeah.
A popular startup executive who, if you're in the U.S., you may not know him, but you know his company. It's called Groupon. Has come out with an album. And I think it
Hardly
begs the
Working.
question, is this for real? Yes, it is for real. It's called Hardly Working, which is probably what he's doing these days now that he sold this company. So the guy's name is Andrew Mason.
Yeah.
And he's one of the co-founders of Groupon and sold... Actually, he didn't sell it. I believe that when he got investment, he took a big cut of the money off the table. And this is something that they do in like different rounds of funding now, because it kind of makes it so that the founders aren't so eager just to cash out because they get a huge cut of the money right up front. So
Yeah. Right.
I think he got pushed out of Groupon. No longer there. And he just came out with this album. And before we talk about it, we should probably listen to that. Can we please listen to that one song that you were
Sure,
playing
sure.
earlier? Because I honestly could not believe this is a real song. And that's not to say anything about the rest of the album, but this song in particular
Yeah.
was really surprising.
Okay. Here we go. Well, here, I don't need to show you this. I'll just play it.
This is called Rising Above the Pack. Got a good hook.
Is this Dave Matthews?
There's a pretty sweet sax part that came out. I don't know if that was the song. The lyrics are fantastic. Gotta be willing to work for it.
This is our
This is
advice
what we
to
were
Hector.
saying. This is your advice, Hector.
Just buy this
Make sure
album.
your goals are clearly defined. Do what you say you're gonna do. No problems, bring solutions.
I didn't realize he was saying that.
He's like
It's like reading
all the
Seth
cliche.
Godin.
Yeah, it's like Seth Godin in musical form.
co-wrote this.
But then he really brings it home with that powerful hook.
But some of it is like a Weezer type.
Yeah,
This actually sounds more like Bare Naked
it
Ladies.
does actually. Bare Naked Weezer.
And then we got some kind of not grungy, but like garage rock. So, I don't know much about this guy, but I think it's just kind of like he's just kind of like a weird dude because I showed you earlier he was interviewed on All Things D, and he was being asked questions that he didn't want to answer, and so he was giving Kara Swisher the quote unquote death stare. So we'll just look at that, and that kind of sums up like he just doesn't give an F. That's his band, by the way.
Yeah.
One time he called me up, he goes, I'd like to announce one thing to my employees myself, but I've heard the IPO is actually quite soon.
Death stare.
The IPO filing. Is that the DARPA death ray stare? Well, that worked. I'm completely finished. I don't know what else to do. Why didn't you sell your company to Google?
It looks like he just shot himself. Or he's trying to.
This is a fascinating technique, and yet completely ineffective.
That totally takes like I don't care to be able to just
Yeah.
like, not even come up with like
This is, I have millions of dollars.
yeah. I don't even bother coming up with like a BS.
Okay, no, hold on,
answer.
pause it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
what
yeah,
did you say?
I will, hold on. I want to come up with the right. there we
Okay,
go.
so as we're watching this, Roberto says,
I go, hey, you know what? He looks like Brian Wilson, and he didn't know who that was.
I don't really know who that is. He's-
Brian Wilson is the leader of the Beach Boys.
Uh-huh.
So I decided to Google image search him, and we found quite a few.
Dude, does he not look exactly like this guy? Like, I cannot believe they're twins. They've got to be related by blood.
Well, I mean, Brian Wilson's older now.
Yeah, where's the other one though? There was one that was
yeah.
even
There's one
better.
that looks perfect, right?
Dude, look at that.
Yeah,
Look
even
at
like
that picture.
the fat face. Hold on.
Long
There's
lost-
one that's like he's facing the same way.
Long lost son. That's what he is.
This one's pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I
what. That's
cannot
him
believe-
recording his album.
Yeah,
Rising
that was
Above
him
the
recording
Sun.
his. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that connection.
Wasn't there one where he was turned?
There was one where they literally look like the same person, like identical.
That one?
He's a little chubbier there. Yeah. I mean, they look exactly alike. Exactly alike. Like, that could be on his driver's license and no one would ever question it.
Which is the one that you like?
I think it was this
This
one. I like the lip bite. So that is Brian Wilson. That is not Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson, not Brian Wilson. That is incredible.
Oh, so these are the things that we bring to the table.
There you go.
In tech. But that's
I think it's really easy to hate on the guy's album because
Yeah.
he's a mega millionaire.
Yeah.
The song, he's got some talent. I mean, I'm not gonna buy his album,
No. But Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go, because I need to look.
I was gonna say, but I think it's easy to be like, oh, it's tough because he went out and became incredibly successful. He's in the limelight of the tech community, and now he goes and he does something different, and he releases an album. I think it's a lot of bravery, honestly,
So
because he knew whatever he did was gonna get attention, and the tough part is like if it's not good, it's still gonna get attention, and then you're just gonna get criticized, and you're gonna get criticized regardless, just because you're well known.
maybe it's just something he's wanted to do for a long time. you
Maybe,
know?
yeah.
Hold on, add some more stuff to that because I want to find something real quick.
In any case, what I think he needs to do is grow out his chops.
Yeah.
And then re-release his album under the auspices that
Yeah.
he is actually that dude from the Beach Boys. And it's going to be a big commercial success. I see platinum records in his future.
So, okay, this reminded me heavily of him doing this. Reminded me of the UK Office.
Yeah.
So
Great show, by
The
the
main guy, David Brent, who's basically Michael Scott, like the boss on The Office here in the States. He basically at the end of the Office series, or towards the end, he got fired, so he got a severance pay.
Yeah.
And then they're interviewing him later, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you do with your money?" And he's like, "Oh, I released my own single." And so that exact thing, and this is his single, by the way.
If you don't know me by now,
Let's fast forward. Oh wait. Come on.
Hi, how are you? Come on in. I've poured you a glass of your favorite wine, Cabernet Sauvignon. I really know you, but I've been lying awake at night, wondering if you really know me. Because if you don't know me by now,
It's like super serious.
you will never
That is totally what this was. It's like if either one of us got super rich and we did an album.
all the things that we've been through.
I think this is a
Okay.
good way. Let's keep it going. Let's just wrap it up with this
You
music
should
going.
understand me.
Okay.
Alrighty, that's gonna be this episode of User Friendly. Put it in the books. Oh, that's what we need to start wrapping up
That's a
with.
good
This,
idea.
this episode of User Friendly is in the books. Hey, you can download User Friendly on iTunes if you wish. That way, the new episode is coming right to your door.
That's right.
Just search for User Friendly on iTunes. We have audio and video
For Mac and PC.
for Mac and PC.
And you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/userfriendlyshow, and Blip, and a lot of other places.
So many places.
But who are you on Twitter?
I'm at Erfon, ERFON.
I am at Roberto Hoyos, ROBERTO HOYOS, and that's pretty much it.
That's going to do it for this episode of User Friendly. New episodes of User Friendly come out every Monday day.
And until next time, we will
We'll see
catch
you guys on the next time.